I've been doing Project Pan for over 5 years. That is 5 whole years of trying to use up what I have, restricting new purchases, and working to reduce my once completely out of control cosmetics collection. And today I'm going to share the most important lessons that I've learned during that time. Hey friends, it's me, Amy Rebecca, your internet bestie for all things personal development, intentional living and dream chasing, as well as former overconsumer turned intentional consumer who is really struggling with her words this morning. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you've noticed, but in 2025, Project Pan content has just exploded. I see so many people getting into Project Pan, like makeup use-up challenges, intentional consumerism, budgeting, all these things that I absolutely love. So as a true veteran Project Panner who has been in the trenches doing my big makeup use-up challenge for over 5 years at this point, I thought that it was time that I weighed in and shared some of the biggest and most impactful lessons that I have learned over the last few years. Like I always say, I am a former overconsumer and I had a problem. I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't, because I think overconsumption is so normalized within our society that I didn't realize all of the negative impacts it was having on my life, or the fact that the way I was behaving, the way I was shopping, the way I was collecting perishable items in some kind of like beauty doomsday bunker was unhinged. Not helpful to my life, not productive in any way, just nuts, really nuts. I started my big makeup use-up challenge in 2019 when I did my first no buy year. I was like all in. It changed my life. It completely changed my perception on how I buy things, what I buy, where I spend my money, what I want to consume, and my life has radically changed. My life has radically changed. It sounds so melodramatic, like Project Pan, it changed my life, but it did. And in these points that I'm going to share with you today, you will see that mindset shift from someone who was just trying to buy anything and everything to just fill up her life and feel some kind of way by making these purchases, to someone now who, I'm just chill. I'm easy breezy. I got different priorities. So let's do it. If you are new here and you do like Project Pan, big makeup use-up challenge, like all that kind of vibe, you gotta subscribe, girl. You're gonna love it here and we would love to have you. The first and perhaps most shocking thing I've learned since doing Project Pan is that cosmetics take up way longer to use up than you would ever expect. It's still to this day, it blows my mind. Like I said, I started my big makeup use-up challenge in 2020. I looked around at my enormous collection of cosmetics and I said, yeah, it's probably gonna take me a good 6 months to use all this up. It is now 2025 and here we are. We're still very much Project Panning our way through it all. I thought I could use all that in 6 months. I have a saying now, which is however long you think something's going to take to use up, double it and add 50%. Because I know it's not just me. I hear you guys in the comments all the time saying that you always underestimate how long it's going to take for a product to be used up. We are really detached from that. We have like an idea in our head, especially when I first started Project Pan. I thought I could use up a lipstick in a matter of months. That is not true. That is so detached from reality. But the truth is, because a lot of us, especially those of us who overconsume and have these big makeup collections, we're not focusing on using one product and then moving on to the next. We're dipping and dabbing into multiple products at once, so we never truly grasp how long those things last when you're just trying to use it up. And this leads us to over-consuming and buying more stuff than we need, and in some cases, like mine, more stuff than we could ever possibly use. How many times have you thought, oh, my lipstick's about to run out, I'll go and I'll buy a new one so that it's here ready for when that one runs out? And then the first lipstick is still hanging on in there like 5 months later. Like we're buying backups of products thinking that something's about to run out when really it's not, so we end up with doublers. And not only that, but when we underestimate how long these products take to use up, it can lead to a false sense of security that no matter how large and in some cases out of control our makeup collections start to get, we still believe that we can use them all up. When the truth is, once your collection gets to a certain size, there's just no way that you're going to be able to use up all those products before they expire. And at that point, you are literally just throwing money to build a collection of stuff that you will store and ultimately throw away before you've ever gotten your use out of it. And that's exactly what happened to me. One of the biggest misconceptions that people have when I say that I've been doing Project Pan for over 5 years is that all my products must be dusty and crusty and expired, stuff that's been sitting at the back of a cupboard for over 5 years. And that's absolutely not true. And look, I will hold up my hands and say, I know there are a couple of products in my collection that I should have let go of by now. But you can prize this out of my cold dead hands. I know this must be expired. And what? And what? I can't let it go. The truth is, I do a major makeup and cosmetics declutter every 6 months like clockwork. I pull everything out, I declutter anything that is expired or that I know I will not be able to use up before it is expired. I take an inventory of everything I have, and then I share the whole thing with you guys. Like, we crunch the numbers together because I'm a spreadsheet nerd. So it's not that everything I have now is the stuff that I started my big makeup use up challenge with. That is not the case. It's just that as I am using things up and decluttering and trying to use up my collection, simultaneously I have people buying me birthday gifts and Christmas gifts, and occasionally I get sent some PR products. So while I'm using things up, new things are coming in, even though I'm not buying them because obviously I'm trying to have less. It's almost like one of those cartoons where, you know, there's a hole in the boat and the guy is with the bucket trying to empty all the water out and the water's coming back in. That's how it feels sometimes. And the reason for that is because it takes so long to use these products up. So if you're out here actively buying products every month, you're never going to be able to use it all up because you cannot use things at the rate that you are buying them in that case. The second thing I realized through this experience was that the way I was shopping was not normal and it was not healthy. Like I said, by the end of 2019, I realized that I had a problem. I had a stockpile of cosmetics and beauty items that I would never be able to use up before they all expired. And if you look back to my old videos, because I've been on YouTube since like Moses floated down the river in that little basket. But if you look back, I made videos sharing like tips on how to organize your makeup collection. Here's how to take an excessive amount of eyeshadow palettes and display them in an aesthetic way. I didn't think owning that much stuff was problematic. I was actually really proud of it. I thought it was a positive thing, something almost like to brag about, to own that much stuff. And it wasn't. I talk about this all the time when I do my overconsumption commentary videos, but it is not normal to overconsume in that way. It's not positive to own more products than you can use. It's not a flex to have an entire drawer of lipstick. We're being fed this narrative that more is better and that it's enviable to have an entire room dedicated to perishable items that you have so much of that you'll never be able to use up in a lifetime. And it's not a good thing. My shopping habits back then were actually really destructive. Firstly, to my own personal finances, because I was buying all this stuff just to stockpile it and put it in drawers and then throw it away because I never got a chance to use it all. But also from an environmental standpoint, when you think about all of the packaging that then ended up in the landfill, as well as all of the resources it took to make those products, to ship them from wherever they're manufactured, to bring them into the shop, to display all this stuff, like it all adds up. And think of all the resources that were wasted on the products that I bought that I used maybe once or twice and then had to throw away because they expired. And when I lived that way and I was trying to buy as much stuff as possible to fill my life with objects as if that was some kind of status symbol, my mental health was not great. It's overwhelming to have too much stuff. It's chaotic. It's stressful. Now I would rather have less stuff, more space, and more money in my bank account to spend on things that are more important and more valuable in my life. So don't buy into the idea that excess is positive. It is being shoved down our throats at an alarming rate, but it is not true. The next thing I learned, and I'm so glad that I did, is that you don't need all the new shiny releases that come out. Brands are constantly launching new products. They want to create hype and excitement and draw you back in to make a new purchase. You may have 35 lipsticks, but you see this new one, this one we just brought out, you don't have this. It's got the peptides, it's got the anti-aging formula, it's got the hyaluronic stuff, it's got 37-hour plus lasting wear in a berry shade. Girl, you need this. New products are being released at an alarming rate to convince customers to come into the shop or go online and spend more money. Right now, I work on a one in, one out basis with my makeup. So when my foundation is used up, I will go out and I will replace that foundation. I stick to the same products and I use them over and over and over again. You see this in my quarterly empties videos. It's the same products all the time because when I like something, I just keep buying it. But brands don't want us to shop that way. They want to drive constant sales. It's not good for them if you just wait until you use something up and then buy a replacement. They want you to have multiples of everything. And that's why they keep bringing out such an extensive constant rate of new products to lure you in to buy things that you don't actually need. And we talk about this all of the time, but the minions who are enabling this to happen and who are fueling the fire are the influencers who are screaming, "Run, don't walk, you must own this new latest thing, it's the best thing you'll ever try in your life." Lest we forget that these people literally make money for every time you buy something through their link. So obviously take what they say with a pinch of salt. No matter how much they try and convince you that this new lipstick is going to change your life, do you actually need it? I never found a lipstick that changed my life, and I'm a pretty hyperbolic person. This next thing I learned is actually a little bit controversial, but it's that sometimes bulk buying is the best option to go with, but only sometimes. So one of the reasons I still have pretty high numbers of products in my collection is because I'm partial to a little bulk buy every now and then. Like I said, I use the same products over and over and over again. And sometimes when those products go on offer, it just makes sense for me to stock up on more than one. Like my facial sun cream, I've been using it for years. It's pretty pricey, but every now and then it goes on a 3 for 2 offer. And I use my little coupon code too, and I get the price right down. And then it makes sense for me to buy 3 rather than 1. Same thing with my hairspray. I go through so many cans of hairspray. I always use the same one. So when it's buy one get one half price, it makes sense for me to buy 2. Plus, every November, I will buy a year's worth of my favorite expensive skincare and hair care brands because the price is just dramatically lower and I know I'm going to use those up. Now this works for me because I use these same products day in, day out. I know that I am going to get through them and I'm going to save myself money by buying more than one at a time when they're on offer. But that doesn't work for everything. A lot of times you walk into Boots, maybe you want to replace your £4 eyebrow pencil and then you see that there's an offer on. Spend £50 and get £150 worth of products for free. The old me would have been like scouring Boots. What can I buy to make this purchase up to £50? All of a sudden I've gone in to spend £4. I'm now spending an additional £46 on products that I don't need so that I can acquire a bag of products that I also don't need and potentially won't even like because they're not products I've chosen. It's just a mystery mismatch of whatever the heck they've thrown into that gift bag. It just doesn't make sense. It sounds like a good deal, but it's not really. Shops are constantly throwing offers our way, not out of the kindness of their heart, not because they love us, not because they're doing us a favor. It is to encourage us to spend more money. So yes, you can utilize offers, you can stockpile, not huge amounts. I'm not saying going out and buy like 30 conditioners. Stockpile in a way that makes sense, buying enough of your favorite products that you cycle through often. Like, use the bargains, but learn to tell the difference between what is a good offer for you and what is a good offer for the shop that's just going to encourage you to spend more on things that you don't actually need. Finally, the last lesson that I learned that was a pretty tricky one for me initially was that it's okay to let go of the guilt and throw some stuff away. Like I said, I have decluttered a huge chunk of my cosmetics collection over the years with my 6 monthly declutters. And at first I really struggled with that. I felt really bad about throwing all of this unused or barely used stuff away from an environmental standpoint and also from the standpoint that I'd spent all of my hard-earned money on this stuff and I wasn't getting my use out of it and now I've got to throw it away, put it in the bin. Like, it just felt shameful to me. And at first, when I first started doing my big makeup use up and project pan, I tried to force myself to use up everything I owned, even if it was expired, even if I actively hated the product. I felt like, well, I've bought it now, so I need to use it. And eventually I realized that, do you know what? The damage is already done. That money is already spent. That impact has already been made on the environment. I can't undo that, and me forcing myself to use up this stuff isn't going to make a difference. All I can really do is draw a line in the sand and say from here on out I'm going to make better choices, which is what I did. Here I am. I'm a much more intentional consumer now than I was then, and I'm much happier for it. Of course, anything that's not expired, I try and give that away. My niece falls in very lucky with things I try and I don't like. If I get sent PR, it usually goes to her. It's good to be able to rehome things, give them to someone else if you can. But in instances where things are expired or there is nowhere for them to go, it's okay to just throw them away and let go of that guilt. Just know that moving forward you will make more intentional choices. So those were my words of wisdom from little old me. I would love to know, if you are doing a project pan, how long have you been doing it for and what's the biggest lesson you've learned? Or if you're thinking about starting a project pan, what is something that's maybe holding you back? You'll come to the dark side. It's fun here. We love trash. Shout out, by the way, to the Trash Appreciation Society. You guys are the realest. Don't forget to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up because it really does help me. Remember that I love you so much. You are enough just as you are, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!